Kai, a weak child, spends his days in his village surrounded by fierce battles and harsh adventures. As his comrades fall one by one in the fight, something strange happens to him. He draws a supernatural power from a world with advanced technology and becomes the strongest sorcerer in the city. Our episode begins with an epic battle between the villagers and those terrifying beasts. It was a truly intense fight. Then we see a red-haired boy named Kai standing beside another young man named Manso. They join forces to strike one of the monsters, but the beast hits them both with a powerful blow, knocking them to the ground. Soon they're surrounded from all sides. Just when Kai is about to be killed, a swordsman appears out of nowhere and slays the monster instantly. He introduces himself as Oliha. Then he unleashes his full power, glowing with a radiant light, and begins slaying the monsters one after the other. Everyone is shocked by his immense strength. In the end, he faces the final monster, one that bears the same emblem, and defeats it with a single blow. The villagers celebrate their victory, cheering that the monster apes have been defeated and the rest have fled. Afterward, they collect special stones that activate their powers and magic. They give a complete one to Oliha, as he was the one who saved them from this great danger. You could say it's like a power drink. When they drink from it, they feel their strength multiply many times over. Kai wants to drink more, but his friend Manso warns him, saying, "That's not allowed, after all, we're just soldiers." Then Lord Baskel arrives and tells Kai, "These stones will be handed to the strongest warrior, the one who protected this village and kept it safe." That evening, the king, or rather the village chief, addresses them. He tells them how much the village has suffered from humanoid beast attacks, but thanks to their courage and efforts, they've protected Log Village for another day. He expresses how proud he is of them. They all feast joyfully, but the food is distributed according to rank. The weakest get a tiny portion, while the leaders and high-ranking warriors get large servings. Everyone receives food based on their strength and position. After that, we see Kai going through intense training, trying to get stronger, but he collapses, saying, "I'm weak because I'm hungry." At that moment, his friend Manso comes to him, and they start talking. Then they spot the graves in the distance. Kai tells Manso, "One day we'll die. No one will help us except our own deeds. That's why I think we should prepare for that hard day. But until that day comes, I have to get stronger. No one should be able to beat me. With enough training, I can do anything. But to stay alive, I need something else. Something that can help me win battles. Something I don't fully understand. An incredible power. A terrifying strength." Manso looks at him and says, "My friend, you're saying some strange things I've never heard before." The scene then shifts to a white-haired girl named Josie. She's walking with her brother, the swordsman Oliha. They're talking about battle. She wants to become a warrior too, but he tells her it's not allowed. Josie gets upset and says, "If only I were a man, I would achieve glorious victory." But alas, there's nothing she can do about it. The scene shifts once again to Manso and Kai as they're training in swordsmanship. Kai falls to the ground, but suddenly he begins to see strange visions, as if he's in another world, or perhaps experiencing some kind of magical power. What's strange is that he hasn't told anyone about this power he might possess. Perhaps he's about to gain an incredible strength, because these visions have taught him many things. Meanwhile, the scene moves to the village chief, who has just received a message saying that the herd has appeared in the forest, specifically heading west. This means the next battle will take place in the village of Banya. Oliha says, "As per our agreement, we must head there immediately. Yesterday it was the macaque, and now it's the erg." Moloch replies, "But haven't our soldiers had any time to rest?" Oliha answers, "It is a soldier's duty to fight and shed blood to defend this land, no questions asked." Moloch says, "You're right, but every villager is one of my children." Then the scene cuts back to Kai sitting in his room talking to himself. "It's not normal for fire to shoot out of someone's fingers. What was my friend talking about?" His friend responds, "You're daydreaming again, huh?" Kai says it might not be just a dream. A long time ago, there was a monk named Ryan in a pitch-black place. There was no light, no fire. He raised his finger, and a flame came out of it. He used it as a torch. I heard that story when I was a kid. The next morning, Kai wakes up and walks through the city, thinking about what his friend told him, that magic allows fire to come from your fingers. Now, he really wants to try it. He remembers that magic consumes magical energy, but it seems this power can be obtained by gathering the mysterious forces of the world. "This world I live in is full of mysterious energy," he says to himself. "I have spiritual energy. It's inside all of us." and it gets stronger when we eat the stones. Kai heads to a quiet place and tries to make fire come from his fingers. He wonders, how can I gather spiritual energy? He starts to feel warmth in his chest, right where his magic stone is located. He tries again, but it doesn't work. Nothing happens. Then the scene shifts to the forest, where we see that the monsters have killed many soldiers and hung them in the trees. The villagers say, "The Urg is watching us from deep within the forest." Suddenly, a soldier shouts, calling everyone to formation. The soldiers prepare and launch an attack. A bloody battle erupts. They kill many of the monsters. One of the beasts charges toward Kai, but his friend jumps in just in time to save him. Olia then appears, charging at one of the monsters and killing it in a single strike. The rest of the creatures see him and flee in fear. Afterward, Kai and his friend retreat to the base to recover and check on each other. Then, the man speaks and instructs all the squads to split up and run, because the monsters can't chase everyone at once. "We need as many of us as possible to survive," he shouts. The soldiers scatter in all directions, fleeing desperately from the monsters. Kai runs into the forest alone, breathing heavily, eyes scanning the trees. Suddenly, a voice echoes around her. "Stop hiding and come out," she panics. Desperate, she tries her fire magic once again, but it still doesn't work. Frustration fills her chest. Suddenly, a monstrous figure hurls a dagger at her and charges in. It grabs her by the neck, lifting her off the ground. Gasping, Kai struggles, eyes burning with determination. "I refuse to die. I want to live. My spiritual energy." And at that moment, her finger ignites with fire. She thrusts her flaming hand into the monster's face. Boom! It goes up in flames, collapsing to the ground, dead. Kai stares in awe at the fire still flickering in her palm. "I did it! I actually did it!" Joy floods her face, but it quickly turns to panic. The flames are still burning uncontrollably. She staggers back, dizzy, and falls to the ground. Her body feels suddenly cold. Am I going to die, or can I stop this? Thinking quickly, she recalls something. Spiritual energy flows like water. To stop it, I need a drain. I have to block the drain, stop the water in its channel. She focuses deeply and manages to suppress the energy just enough, but then the monster, badly burned, stands up again, still alive. It lunges and grabs her, but Kai pulls out her sword and slashes it. The two of them fall together, plunging into the water below. And that's how today's episode ends. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss what happens next. Then we see Kai emerge from the sea, very tired, crawling towards the org. He stands on it, opens his stomach with a knife, and takes out the stone inside. Kai then realizes that his spiritual energy is depleted, and if he eats this thing, he will regain his strength. Kai drinks and his body begins to glow. This is the first time he has eaten a complete magic stone. He looks at his wound, but the bleeding never stops, and he realizes his time is up and he will die. Then we see Mansu sitting alone after the battle ends. His friend approaches him and asks where the little boy who was always with him is. Mansu doesn't answer, and deep sadness appears on his face. In the morning, we see Kawi wake up, surprised because he thought he had died. When he looks at his wound, he sees that it has healed and doesn't hurt at all. How is that? Is it because he ate the org stone, or what? Then he sees that wall with strange symbols etched on it. He uses fire magic and blows up the wall, but the magic was so strong that it threw him far away onto the ground near the lake. When Kawi gets up and looks at his face in the lake, he sees a strange symbol on his face, which is a sign of a guardian. Then the symbol disappears from his face again. Kai returns to the etched wall as he has never seen those letters and symbols before. Then Kai decides to go back to the others. When he climbs the mountain to leave, the symbol appears on his face again, and the stone under his hands crumbles and falls to the ground. Then he picks up another stone, and it shatters into small pieces. At that moment, Kai realizes he has immense power. He climbs the mountain again very quickly and realizes that the power he has gained will be more impressive than magic. He decides not to tell anyone for now. Then he returns to his village and starts working with his companions. While working in the fields, Kawi realizes that he has completed a large part of the work in a very short time without realizing it. Then he sits with his companions and they ask him what's wrong. Why is he so strong? Kai tells them that he ate a magic stone until he was full. During the battle in Banya village, a large number of orgs were killed in the forest, and he ate dozens of magic stones. Mansu tells him that he knows someone whose physique is enormous after eating many of those stones. How can Kawi's body be the same size, but his strength has multiplied so greatly? Kai tries to change the subject so he doesn't tell them the truth. Then we see Josie asking the worker how the preparations are going. He tells her that everything is fine. The remote lands like theirs are barren, but he was able to plant many crops there thanks to the good deeds of the Baron. He was able to do that. His power makes the city fertile. Then we return to Kawi as he tries to practice magic. When he casts fire magic, it shoots from his finger for the first time without him feeling any depletion of his spiritual energy. Suddenly, Josie appears and asks him what he is doing here. He gets nervous, puts his hands behind his back, and tries to leave. Josie stops him and asks what he was doing here and what is on his finger. Gawi tells her that he tried to create fire magic as an ability he had heard of before and succeeded. Josie tells him that he must have the qualifications of a power user, as they are people who use mysterious and seemingly impossible abilities, and this is what they call members of special families. Then she tells him that she heard he became so strong after eating many magic stones, and if this really happened, then he is stronger in various aspects and was not affected after using an ability like this because he has more spiritual energy than the energy he took from the magic stones. Then Josie asks him to engage in a training fight with her, and they start practicing fighting together. After the training ends, Kai looks at his face in the water and realizes that the symbol did not appear during his training with Josie, so he faced her without exerting his full strength. Then Josie calls him and asks him to bring water. Josie then calls out to Kai to give her the towel. When Kai gives it to her, he tells her that he thought all shield bearers were equally strong. Josie replies that she is still weak as her father and brother are much stronger than her. She explains that the strength of a shield bearer varies depending on the strength of their ruler, but the shield bearer themselves must also train and become stronger, as she still lacks training. Kai tells her that she doesn't need much training. When Josie doesn't understand his meaning, she gets angry because he implies that women don't need to become strong since they are not forced to fight. She then tells him that shield bearers are the guardians of the land and that there is always a time when they must fight. Shield bearers naturally become stronger to win battles, but that is not the only reason. At that moment, they hear the sound of a whistle and Josie immediately leaves because everyone has woken up and she doesn't want anyone to see her, as her father doesn't know she trains like this. Kai asks her about her meaning, that winning battles isn't the only reason. She replies that she will be cleaning the monthly tombs soon and asks him to come with her so she can tell him, as she can't explain now. Kai agrees. Then we see Josie walking in the procession towards Aida village as the leader warns those with him to be vigilant because Aida village is a monkey territory these days. We then see Kai walking with his friend, saying he heard that their squad was tasked with escorting Josie because she personally requested it. Mansu replies that this is impossible, as Josie doesn't know who Kai is. One of the men says that some people believe rumors. After they arrive at the village, Kai talks to his friends about it, saying it used to belong to the Moloch family, who were forced to abandon it after repeated humanoid attacks. However, a tombstone still exists here, and they must not neglect to offer their condolences to the dead. The village is completely destroyed, and no one is here to plow it. The land has become barren and doesn't yield anything suitable for cultivation. Josie immediately comes to Kai and Flynn, asking Flynn if she can take a look around the village and that she wants Kai to accompany her. She takes him with her, and Kai asks her where they are going. She doesn't answer, but tells him to calm down as she was praying for the land to be restored. Only shield bearers connected to the land can do that, as he has seen before. This village was abandoned, and as the shield bearer of this village, she is very weak, and all she can do now is maintain this small flower garden. For example, the crops in Lag village grow well because her father is strong. It is very important for the ruler of the land to be strong. Her father never neglects his training to remain strong, which is why they eat a lot of stones. Shield bearers who have contracted with rulers receive more favor the more powerful they become, and this makes their land fertile. But this makes the Earth's monsters stronger, so you don't become stronger to win battles. Then this man says, there's nothing unusual inside. This person then tells those people, Squad 1 will stay here to guard the area, while the rest of us will go down with Josie. After that, they descend into the cave and Josie helps them clear this thing. Then Kai says this is the tombstone of the Earth Realm. This writing was also on the stone in the valley. Then Kai helps them and places his hands on the stone, reading, I am Idaline, your servant. I serve the realm of Lagdaratoka. I can read it when I touch it. Kai tries to read the rest of the words, but can't. Then Kai says to Josie, I didn't realize you were becoming strong for Aida village. Josie replies, I hope that one day I can rebuild Aida village. I received Idaline's protection from the Earth Realm, which makes me responsible for this land. I will become stronger and reclaim this village. I will plant all kinds of crops and make the flowers I love bloom. Many people will live here. This is my wish and my responsibility. These people rejoice, saying to her, allow us to join you when you do that. Then Kai says to himself, A shield bearer has a responsibility towards the land and the people. This person comes down to them saying, "There's something coming from afar, and it's coming from behind. We think it's a macaque." After that, this man talks to Mansu, telling him, "Let your squad accompany Juicy and escape from the front. Move quickly and hide." Then Juicy comes out and asks Flynn to fight with her, but he refuses her request, saying, "You are very important. You must return safely to Log Village. You don't have real combat experience." He asks her to leave. We see Juicy sad from his words, saying, "She is a shield bearer." Then the monsters come and surround them from everywhere. Juicy wants to attack them, but Kai comes and strikes the monster with his sword, killing it. This thing appears on his face, and when Juicy sees it, she is very surprised. Then Kai goes to her to check if she is all right. This is the end of today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all the latest updates. Then we see Polyha talking to his sister, scolding her for what happened, telling her she could have died in that moment. He says to her, "You don't realize this now. You don't realize the meaning of your life. You must protect your life, Josie. Women don't need to fight. Women should just go home, cook, and wash." Here, that huge man with the thick mustache, Vijayan, gets angry and says, "The most important thing now is that you are all right. As for you, Palaha, an inspector from the Central Plains will come soon, so you must inform the soldiers." Then Palaha leaves, and Josie apologizes to Vijan, her father, saying, "I'm sorry, father, I won't do this again." Here, the father realizes she was with Kai, who is a new recruit capable of defeating Macaque alone. He says, "I am very excited to see what he will do in the future. That boy has great potential indeed." The scene shifts to Kai as he plays with his friends. They know he was a true hero in Aida Village, and they say to him, "You are so great. How did you defeat that monster alone? Your fame has spread throughout the small town. Young and old know what you did. Kai, come on, tell us what that power is." Even the girls watch him and say, "This is the boy who defeated Macaque alone." At that moment, Josie comes and takes him, as she wanted to discuss something with him. Then she thanks him for what he did for her in Aida Village. "I came to you now to talk about the fear that appeared on your face that day. When you faced the enemy, you froze. I realized that just being strong isn't enough for a woman. I need courage and a brave heart to use it. So, starting from this morning or tomorrow morning, I will train daily very hard. I will train harder than before. So, I expect you to join me, Kai." It says to her, "Okay." At that moment, she leaves, and then that girl comes to him and gives him that dish. He asks her, "Is this for me?" She tells him that everyone asked her to give it to him. He thanks her, then drinks from it, and finds it really delicious. That girl is called Elisa, but her mother calls her, and she leaves quickly after that. Suddenly, his friend comes, and Kai is surprised to find him beside him. That wonderful friend says to him, "Hello, Kai. It's Mansu. Do you remember me, boy?" Kai tells him, "How could I forget you, Mansu? You are my best friend." Then they hear the whistling sound of a bird, and Kai feels like he has heard that call before. Yes, he heard it in that valley. He says, "I wish I could go there." Then evening comes and they go to sleep. Kai hears that whistling sound again in his sleep. He gets up, then goes outside and heads to the valley, moving very fast like Tarzan. His jumps are very quick. He becomes like the wind. Then he jumps into the valley and into the water pool, feeling very happy. Then he sees the bird that was calling, so he goes quickly and sees the inscriptions, but he cannot read them. Then he cleans that wall and leaves the place. Kai continues running through this forest where the darkness is intense, yet he can see clearly. He then sits on a rock to rest a little and eat some of the delicious fruits. This forest is rich in water and food, and Kai wishes he could live here forever, but he knows he needs to build a house here. First, he needs to cut down some trees, so he runs towards a very large tree to cut it. He doesn't know how to cut it, so he decides to use magic. Indeed, he uses fire magic, and the tree catches fire. Kai quickly tries to extinguish it, then thinks of an alternative idea to magic, as it's not useful for this. When he was able to use fire magic, he imagined it first, so he should imagine another type of magic. Cutting something means breaking the bonds between molecules, so Kai decides to do that. He is not breaking the tree now, but rather loosening the bonds at the gap, so he needs to pass a hidden blade between the molecules. At that moment, he senses a sound around him and goes to see what's happening. Afterwards, he finds a group of people intending to enter the valley, so he runs towards them to stop them. The people try to attack him, but their leader stops them. The leader then speaks to Kai and introduces himself as Boric, the leader of the Kuror people. Kai is surprised because he has never seen the Kuror race before. The leader then tells him that they speak the human language fluently. The leader replies that it's due to their interaction with human traders, as it seems humans consider their handicrafts valuable merchandise. He then apologizes to Kai for wanting to enter a forbidden area without permission, explaining that they came to this place to plead and request the ancient agreement of the Great Valley. They then sit around the fire, and the leader continues, saying that the Kuror people lived peacefully in the forest, but several days ago, the orc pig soldiers attacked them in an attempt to seize their land. Their weak race has no means to fight them. They were driven out of the land they had lived in for years and are now fugitives. He then praises Kai for saving them from their predicament and calls him the Arbiter. Kai doesn't understand him, so the leader explains that the Arbiter possesses great power, surpassing that of all monsters, and protects all creatures. Kai replies with astonishment that he knows nothing about such great things. One of the Kuror says that he also doesn't believe he is a true Arbiter, as he heard that the Arbiter was a fierce warrior who imposed harsh punishments on people, and this small human cannot be such a great legendary figure. However, the leader believes him. When he was young, he angered the king by entering the valley without permission, and this is what he received as a result. Although he can no longer be a leader who sees the sunlight, there are many things he can still see, and this world is full of spiritual light. Then he tells Kai that he is rich in a noble blue spiritual light. This world is full of spiritual light and the light of spiritual energy. You are rich in a noble blue spiritual light. I can immediately discern that you are the one who receives the valley's protection. In addition to that, we offered a sacrifice. I bestowed my granddaughter Arwa upon the life of the valley. Then we see the rope fall, and Kai rushes to see. He says to himself, "Don't kill people in this valley." Afterwards, he reaches Arwa, saying if only magic could save her. Then Kai asks her to rest for a while, and suddenly those monsters appear, frightening the children. Kai goes to them and asks, "What have you come here for?" And the monster tells him that he carries a message. Then Kai hears this voice, saying to them, "Kill them," and it plants fear in them. "Bear yourself strong." And with him, the old genie said to him, "I will help you, for I also carry a message. I will not be an obstacle in your way. The Kuror of Hakar village swear by our loyalty." Strong replied to him, "We must do something about them now," ordering the monsters upon them, but Kai strikes them, killing them with the first blow, and he kills many of them. She asks the old man to wait for her far away. Then she retorted, "Is this all you can do? With Kuror fighting techniques? I leave the rest to you." Kai agrees with the old man's words and takes the knife to fight the monster, saying, "You have defiled this valley. I will not let you leave alive." The monster replies, "This is none of the humans' business. This is a Kuror and orc problem." Kai tells him, "This is my business. You entered this valley without permission. That, in itself, makes it my business." The monster replies, "I will leave. Please, don't kill me." But Kai doesn't agree and uses his magic, saying, "For the peace of the valley, I will kill you now. This valley is mine." The monster is very astonished and begs Kai not to kill him. The monster then attacks Kai, but he blocks him, cuts off his hands, strikes him, and kills him. Everyone is astonished. And then the old man says, "I could feel the blue flame that burned my eyes. He hunts mercilessly, and he also grants mercy, steadfast and unchanging. He is the one who carries the scales of life, the justice that has watched over the world since ancient times. He is indeed the Arbiter." Thus ends today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all the latest updates. Then we see Kai holding the magical stone of the beast and telling them that he killed a guardian for the first time. Then Boric tells him that everyone is excited because he is about to seize the protection of that boar from him. Whoever devours the stone of a guardian absorbs the beast's power and inherits its protection, but one cannot obtain the protection of more than one beast at a time. However, he can still consume the power of a number of beasts and use it to enhance his strength so that he can continue to protect this valley. Then Kai opens the beast's stone and gives Barak his share of it, and they both drink. Then something strange happens to them, and Barak tells him that when a guardian dies, the spirit of their beast returns to its grave, and Kai's condition worsens. Barak realizes that this is the effect of eating the stone of a guardian beast. Kai tells them that he doesn't need help, and leaves, deciding to return to the valley later. After that, we see Kai waking up from his sleep after having a nightmare. He is surprised to find Uroi sleeping beside him. She tells him that she covered him with this shawl because she was afraid he would get sick. Kai tells her that he doesn't want her help and orders her to return, but Uroi refuses. She tells him that she will stay with him and that her grandfather said that calamity would befall everyone if she returned, and that she doesn't want to return and wants to stay by his side. Then Kai tells her that he must return to the village quickly and leave. On the way, Kai finds Boric and his men, and they thank him from the bottom of their hearts for subduing the oppressors, but their homeland is still under attack by the orgs, and they ask him to grant them refuge inside the valley so that they can live there. Kai agrees to this and leaves, and everyone rejoices. Then Kai goes to Josie and apologizes for the delay, and then training begins. Then we see Finn in his mine searching for Kai, and one of the workers tells him that he has been assigned to the warehouse today. Then we see Zane in the battle arena with Kai, where they will spar together. Kai speaks to himself, saying that he didn't want to draw attention in the first place, so he drew the Baron's attention himself. His trainer advises him not to resort to cheap tricks, even if he is desperate. Then the Baron tells him to show him his power. Kai remembers Boric's words and says to himself, "I will suppress my power so that my magical insignia does not appear." Then the duel begins between Kai and the Baron. The Baron directs several blows at him. Then we see the magical insignia appear on Kai's face, so Kai immediately hides it until it disappears. The fight continues between them, and Kai grabs the Baron's leg. Josie is surprised and says, "What a great kid, he's attacking my father unarmed." Kai tries to lift her father's huge great foot, but he can't. Then Vigen kicks him hard, and he flies into the sky and crashes to the ground. Everyone is afraid for him. Then Vigen laughs a laugh of admiration. I tell him, "I'm impressed, man. Starting tomorrow, I will train you myself. Prepare yourself for that day." Then he leaves him and departs, while Josie is talking to her brother, saying, "I can't believe he put on such a good performance in front of my father." After that, his friends come to him and laugh at him, saying, "Maybe we'll be collecting your remains tomorrow. Vigen is very strong, and don't underestimate him, because he will turn you into scattered remains." In the evening, specifically before dawn, Kai gets up after everyone has fallen asleep and runs quickly to the place he goes to every day. And he says to himself, "Finally, I'm off. Oh, Josie and Baron Vigen were taking up all my time every day, and now, thank God, I will go to the valley." Indeed, he arrives there. But he is surprised to find a faint light on the opposite side. He goes to see who is there and indeed enters that tent. He finds that it is that girl, Uroi, who was waiting for him. He wonders and asks her, "Why have you been here all this time?" She tells him that she was preparing food for him. He asks her, "Did you allow the Kuror people to enter the valley?" She tells him that no one entered the valley except her. He is surprised that she did all this by herself and that she prepared a lot of food for him. When he sat down, he couldn't contain himself from this delicious food and starts eating, saying to her, "Thank you, this food is very delicious." Then he asks for more and thanks her again, as he hasn't eaten this much in a very long time. In the morning, Kai arrives and eats his share, and the cook provides him with an extra portion because he is very hardworking. His friends gather around him and say to him, "Why are you taking so much? This isn't fair." The cook or organizer gets angry and tells them, "Silence! You are lazy during work while he has become very hardworking." Then they sit together and eat. In the evening, Kai returns to his usual place where Uroi was waiting for him, and he returns in the morning to train with Josie. He works repeatedly, and this became his routine every day. He goes back to the valley to do some work there, and then returns to do his main work in porterage and farming. And then they gather around that large rock and try to move it, but none of them can move it. Here Vigen comes and lifts it up high. Everyone is surprised and marvels at his terrifying strength. How could they not, when his body is full of muscles? He can do even more than this. At night, we find Kai trying to use his magic again, but he doesn't succeed. He still has much to learn as a guardian. The following morning, we find Elsa picking the fruits of the field. Kai comes to her at that time to see what she is doing, and if she has seen anything unusual here. She replies that she hasn't found anything, as she was saying to herself, only that the fruits are blooming beautifully again this year, as these flowers originally grew from seeds they brought from their village. Kai is astonished by her words, so she continues, saying that when their village burned down, they wanted to save at least the flowers. Their village is gone, but there are many more flowers now. Kai asks her if they came to Lag Village from the same village as well or not. Elsa gets annoyed with him because he forgot this, so he tells her that he was still very young when their village burned down. Elsa tells him that he is amazing as he managed to attract the barn's attention. He replies that he still has much to learn compared to the barn, and Josie, he must become stronger. For an orphan with no family, he must become stronger. He has friends like Mansu and the others, but he has always felt that he needs to become stronger than anyone else. Elsa tells him that he said the same thing before when he was crying alone. Then she remembers when they were young when that monster attacked them as it wanted to hit Elsa, so Kai ran towards her to save her. Then we return to reality and Elsa tells him, I thought we were done for, but Vigen arrived and defeated that macaque. Kai tells her, I was frustrated with the villagers who were content to wait until they were killed one by one and with myself for being unable to do anything, so I swore to become stronger. Elsa tells him, but you protected us all from the monsters. You haven't changed at all. At night, the enormous beast called a Durkin appears and fights many people and monsters. The monsters chant his name. Then he says to them, our destination is that wretched valley. Thus ends today. This anime, stay tuned for future episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all the latest updates. Then we see Kai picking up grains of wheat from the ground, wondering if he can cook this. He thinks about using his power to turn these seeds into rice balls. Then Elsa comes and asks him what rice balls are. Kai tries to explain that they are like food and taste very delicious, although he hasn't actually tried them, but wishes to just once. Then we see his friends who are angry with him because he is delaying work and not helping them, and Vigen orders them to finish this before the inspector arrives. Then we see Oltha asking Vigen if it's really necessary to do all this. The matter would be different if it were something valuable, but surely there's no harm in offering them some grains. Vigen tells him that the village's reserve is low. Some villagers will lose part of their share. Oltha suggests that they should offer gifts to the Central Plains to win their favor and gain more approval than necessary. Vigen tells them that some villagers will end up starving to death. Then we see Kai talking to his friend about the inspector, saying that he is very strong and uses that power to protect the capital of the United Kingdom in the Central Plains. Then we see the inspector arriving and everyone bows respectfully to him. Vigen welcomes him, and the inspector tells him that the village is full of thieves as humanoids attacked him on the way. When Vigen sees the arrows, he recognizes them as Macaw arrows, and they apologize to Inspector Gandalf. Then the inspector gets out of the carriage and everyone welcomes him. He looks at Josie and asks her, are you the beautiful girl everyone is talking about? Josie introduces herself, and the inspector advises her to stay home more and focus on becoming a nobleman's bride instead. Then he looks at Oltha and tells him to put more effort into catching the thieves. Oltha apologizes and tells him that he will personally conduct a search and catch those who attacked him. Then we see one of the men who came with the inspector, and Vigen asks him, are you one of the inspector's guards? The guard tells him that he met the inspector on the way and traveled with him, and he was sent here from the mass monastery, and his name is Nada. Then we see the inspector in the crop house telling Vigen that this is not much and that the ruler's training can affect the harvest. Perhaps he never practices. He thinks about increasing the crops. Vigen tells him that the harvest is poor due to the recent bad weather. The inspector tells him that he will stay in the village for a while. Then we see Josie with her father, and she is angry with the inspector and his conversation with her. Her father tells her to be polite as she is talking about Inspector Gandalf, who represents the king wherever he goes, and Log Village belongs to the United Kingdom, and she should not forget that. Then we see Kai with the guard Nada, and Kai tells him that his cloak is dirty. Nada asks him, are you the boy who became strong after eating many magic stones? Kai tells him that he is, and introduces himself. Nada tells him that they are similar, as in the monastery he consumed many magic stones as part of his training and gained power. Then the crest of power appears on his face, and Kai realizes that Nada is also a vessel. Then we see the inspector sitting at a table full of food, but he scoffs at it and tells his assistant to bring him more as he wants a higher level of hospitality than that. Then we see some villagers eating angrily because their share of food is small due to that vile inspector for whom they prepared a lot of food, and they wish he would leave soon. Then we see Vigen with his friends, and Nada tells him that there is a large group of ogres deep in the distant region, and they are very numerous. Surely they have a specific goal behind sending such a strong army, and he suggests following them to find out their objective. Vigen agrees, but says he will choose some people to accompany him. Then we see Kai with his girlfriend, and he tells her that he will be leaving and won't be here for a while, so she becomes very sad. He tells her that he will return again because he has to protect this valley. Then we see everyone leaving the castle with Josie, and we see Vigen talking to Ultha, telling him that he sent Josie, but usually this is his job, but he must target the macaques who attacked the inspector. Ultha tells him that he will do his best to catch them. Then we see Elsa giving Kai rice balls before he leaves, so Kai is happy and thanks her, but then he looks a little sad, and she asks him what's wrong. He remembers his mother, who left him many years ago, then takes the rice balls and leaves with the team. After more than an hour, they reach their destination, and Josie asks, "What do you—" But before she finishes her sentence, one of the soldiers comes in a hurry and says to them, "Come and see, everyone. Yes, my friends, it's a group of orcs, killed by people stronger than them, but they don't yet know the identity of those who targeted them. However, according to the analysis, there are many of them dead. Perhaps the orcs were a main army led by a strong individual, but we can't speculate what happened. It seems there is a very strong person who should not be ignored. They will appear in this distant land. Perhaps a very powerful spirit will appear, and its strength will be immense, like a bird soaring high and swooping down on its prey with maximum speed. That person's nature is of light and darkness, evil and good. They should be respected and feared." Kai says to himself, "Who is that person? Could it be the king of the valley I'm going to? Maybe he's looking for me. As for these orcs, they are clearly different from the ones I fought in the valley." After that, they realize that the village has clearly been attacked. Josie goes to the front to see what happened, but they tell her that it's very dangerous. Wait. But she tells them, "I won't budge a single step. This is my job. Even if I get killed, I will die an honorable death." They enter and find these people injured. They are a quiet and peaceful type, not hostile to humans. The big problem is that their horns have been torn off. The bigger problem is that there are monsters present, but they are still hiding in that city. And the biggest of all is, where did the city's inhabitants go? We haven't seen any of them. At that moment, Kai goes with that person to search thoroughly for the king of the valley, or the person responsible for the large-scale killing. On the other hand, we see Josie following the tracks and finding blood of someone who might be an injured person hiding in this exact place. The scene shifts to Kai and his companion. They are still searching in this place. The man uses his firepower to illuminate the area, but he says to Kai, "Amazing, Kai. Most people are surprised when they see my fire technique, but you haven't even looked. Perhaps you've seen it before?" Kai stutters and says, Yes, I've heard about it." Then they see this place. The scene quickly shifts again to Josie, and the door opens, and they find a dead orc, which falls when they open the door. As for Kai, they find a secret room with hieroglyphic writing, and the man says, "Since I am not a vessel, I cannot read the writing on these tombstone-like objects without this sign." The priest said, "Since I am not a vessel, I cannot read the writing on these tombstones without this crest." However, the name of the ruler of this tomb is Nazil-Kazel. Kai leaves him and looks at what's in the tomb. He finds the girl lying on the ground and quickly calls the priest. Then they take her out of the tomb next to her friends. They found them all in this area. The priest understands that they were not attacked by the main force of the orcs. According to this girl's clothes, she appears to be the baron of the village. In other words, she is the vessel. They are surprised because it is unusual for a girl to be a baron. Then the priest looks at her closely and finds that her wound is deep. It was caused by an orc axe. Then he takes the sword lying beside her and goes towards the fat man. He compares the tip of the sword with the wound on his chest and finds that it matches. He understands further that the fatal wounds on the orcs' bodies were caused by this girl's weapon. The vessel is the one who defeated those orcs. She fought 3 orcs and managed to defeat them. Josie is astonished that one woman could defeat 3 orcs alone. The priest continues, saying that the horns of the Uzilia are sold at a high price, and the owners of the horns were the first to be attacked. When the girl heard them screaming, she came to them quickly to help them and to prevent more bloodshed in the village. She played the role of a shield so that the others could escape. The young man replied that the difference in physical and combat strength between the orcs and the Uzili is vast. The priest replied that she managed to bridge that gap. Her love for her people helped her overcome that great fear. Then he says that he believes that this is a quality that all vessels should possess. Mansu speaks to the priest and asks him if the ruler of this person's land was related to the one he is looking for or not. He replied that there was only one ruler for this land, but he learned something when else came here, which is that the main group of orcs is in another place. Then he opens the map he has and tells them that the path from the macaque and orc battlefield splits into two routes. One leads to this village where the independent orcs appeared, which means that the main force took this direction. Josie told him that this trace leads to the forest, so the ruler's tomb must be there. Kai recognizes the place he is talking about and tells them that he will go ahead to scout there. He is the one who will go and verify his words himself. The priest agrees to that. Then we move to Polak and his companions, where Kichik tells him what is happening with Kai and his group. Polak asks him to speak in the human language so that the members of his tribe do not understand what they are saying. Kichik tells him that, as he feared, the humans are heading directly towards the valley. Polak asks him to gather a number of people to investigate this matter himself, as this old Kuror cannot do much, but he cannot remain idle. And thus ends today's episode. If you liked the video, press like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button so that you receive all the latest updates. Our episode begins tonight as they were in the forest at dusk. Things were very tense. Perhaps there was a macaque nearby, so they needed to retreat very soon, or else they would be attacked by these ferocious beasts. Then we see Oliha, who wants to finish them off. Indeed, my friends, he analyzes the situation and finds a fiery signal specific to these beasts. About 200 meters away, we find macaques gathered around the fire, so the humans lie in wait for them with their supreme leader, Oliha. Perhaps these beasts were building a large fortress, as their numbers were very great, maybe requiring a group or a force of more than 200 men to defeat them. Oliha wanted to finish them off and attack them, but the man with him said, "It's not possible. We must first request reinforcements from our allies, then return again. Don't let anger control you, or they will kill our entire village." Indeed, my friends, they return to the village, and the soldiers wonder if Kai has found the main Arg force, as everyone depends on him. Josie scolds herself, saying, "I should have gone with him in the end, but it's not too late yet. I must be fast enough to catch up with him," but her friends tell her not to be reckless in that way. At that moment, Nada comes and tells her, "We must trust him. He is very strong. All we can do is trust and wait for his safe return, God willing. But I am sure Kai is safer than any of us think." After that, we see Nada praying and supplicating, invoking his Lord to protect that town and bring Kai back safe and sound. On the other hand, we see Kai running very fast, but he is angry and says this is not possible. He jumps until he finally reaches the tracks, which are the tracks of the org, but there are many of them. At that moment, Kai hears some whispers, and someone attacks him with a knife, but he blocks the blow. Afterward, he discovers it is Kichak. Then we find Boric and his group arriving and surrounding him, telling him that they realized the org were heading towards the valley, so they hurried here to check their movements. Kai tells them, "You could have called me to handle this." But Kichak tells him that they want to protect that village with all their might, even if it costs them their lives. At those moments, the strong beasts arrive and cut down everything in front of them. They are very strong, and there are many of them too, but until this time, they have not discovered Kai Boric and those with them. Boric tells them that they must advance cautiously, but Kai says to him, "We cannot do that. We must stop them very quickly." But before Kai finishes his sentence, the beasts reveal their presence. On the other hand, we see that inspector, who is very angry, eating, drinking, and disturbing people, throwing food on the ground. He is a trivial person, and these are not our customs and traditions. Elisa picks up what that fool dropped. His treatment was very bad, and they cannot stand him. At that moment, Madame Adelia arrived and granted the inspector's request. Later that night, Elisa speaks with Madame Adelia and thanks her for what she did for him. Madame Adelia asks her never to frown, even if the person she admires returns safely, as it will disappoint the inspector. Then, the scene shifts to Kai, who is running from the beasts that want to kill him. However, he attacks them and strikes some of them, as he will not allow them to reach the valley. Their leader arrives at that moment, and Kai speaks to Boric, asking him if this leader is a wielder of the Covenant or not. Boric replies that he doesn't think any of the Rigdarus would be a wielder of the Covenant. Even among the fierce Org, there are exceptional strong warriors who make the Northern Org very powerful. Kai replies and asks everyone with him to retreat, because the leader will kill them if he doesn't fight with all his strength. At that moment, we see the priest sitting near Kai to give him strength. The leader speaks to Kai and tells him that he should thank the bone crackers who were hunting the Kuror because he found him thanks to them. Boric confirms that they indeed tracked those Org until they arrived here. After that, Kai runs towards the leader to strike him with his spear, but the leader manages to block his blows, mocking him and telling him to do everything he can. Kai runs at him and then thrusts his spear into the leader's back, but it breaks in half. Then he plunges the spearhead into his body and the leader falls to the ground. However, he quickly pulls the spearhead out of his back and suddenly his wounds heal as if nothing had happened. Everyone is shocked by what they see because even if he were a wielder of the Covenant, he wouldn't heal at this incredible speed. They suspect he is immortal. After that, the leader grabs Kai by the neck, choking him, and tells him that after killing him, he and his followers will invade the valley. Kai decides not to surrender and uses the firepower in his hand, burning the leader's hand with it. The leader quickly throws him to the ground. Then Kai uses the power of fire to save himself from the beast. The beast says to him, "Do you rely on incantations?" Kai replies, "Next time I will burn you completely." Then he uses the power of fire again and attacks him. This time the fire is very intense. Suddenly the beast kicks Kai with its leg, causing everyone to groan. The beast then says, "My power is always here." The man says, "These individuals use their steadfast power to protect their hosts, and for those who defy the laws of nature in this world, protecting their covenant holders from divine forces is a simple task." After that, Kai says, "His skin is very thick, healing any damage in the blink of an eye, and magic is also ineffective. What am I supposed to do?" Then Kai attacks the beast and strikes it with his sword, but the sword breaks. The beast strikes him, and Kai falls to the ground, unable to defeat it. Then the beast speaks to Kai, saying, "This is a disgrace to you." Kai thinks that he is supposed to protect the valley and the people. Then he takes the food, and the beast says to him, "You are preparing to leave? It seems you have lost the will to resist." Kai replies, "In order to defeat the protection of power, I must transcend the natural laws of this world, atoms and molecules. Do you understand?" The beast replies, "Your protection and power will all be ours for the prosperity of the Org race." Then the beast attacks Kai, but Kai blocks his blow and strikes him with great force, cutting off his arms. The beast is astonished. "What have you done?" The people groan. Then the old man says, "That strange glow is the blade that surpasses the law of nature." After that, Kai attacks the beast again and cuts off its neck. Finally, Kai triumphs over the beasts, and the remaining beasts are afraid. Then we go back to the man, who says, "When Kai won, he was able to use a power unheard of in any ancient or modern legend. It has become very interesting." After that, we see Josie, who is a little tired and she faints. Then we return to Kai, who takes the beast's power. Something strange speaks to him, and a beam of light emerges from him, saying, "All this power will be mine." The beasts flee, and Kai falls to the ground. The old man and the children go to him. Then something emerges from the ground and goes up to the sky. This is the end of today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates. Our episode today begins with Kai finally waking from his coma. He asks, "What happened to me?" But no one else knows either. After he ate the magical stone of the armored warrior, a sudden gust of wind, unlike anything they'd ever seen, swept through. This means Kai absorbed the beast's power after it died, but the crucial question is, how is Kai supposed to use this power? He then goes to the lake and talks to them about the last battle. He asks if they noticed a strange gaze, as if they were being watched during their fight. The elder confirms, "Yes, my son, I felt it too. Two eyes watching us from afar, but I ignored it since I felt no hostility." They then excuse themselves, wishing him good luck, and say they're returning to the valley. He warns them to be very careful. Afterward, he sits on a rock and takes out the rice balls Elisa made for him. He says, "These grains help save me. Thank you, Elisa," and eats them. He then returns to the village, where he's greeted with "Welcome back." However, Josie has completely collapsed, and her condition is deteriorating. He rushes to her, asking what happened to her. His friend Mansu tells him she suddenly collapsed with a fever. He looks at the mark on her foot. Then the same man who was watching them with the powerful eye appears and asks, "What did you do, Kai?" But Kai replies, "This isn't the time to talk. Perhaps later. Let's think about Josie first." The man tells him to take Josie to the dwellings immediately. While Kai is telling them what happened, they rush to the valley and find all the orcs torn to shreds. One orc corpse was wearing armor and was likely their leader. But first, they must return Josie to the village of Lodge. There will be much to discuss later. Indeed, my friends, they quickly carried Josie and moved her towards her hometown. His other friend tells him, "You have blood stains, Kai." Kai replies, "I probably got them when I crossed a pool of blood." Kanomai lies. Even though he's known to be incredibly strong, However, the man watching them knows everything about him. Finally, they reach the outskirts of the village and find arrows scattered everywhere. The situation is very dangerous. Mansu tells them we can't bring Josima into a village like this. Kai quickly rushes to investigate and finds Basco carrying another person. He asks him, "What happened, Basco?" He explains that they were attacked by macaques in overwhelming numbers, and thanks to God, and then the Baron, they managed to repel them with great difficulty. But as he can see, the village was severely damaged, as the macaques were very skilled at throwing stones. He leaves Basco and quickly moves to check on everyone, especially Elisa. He finally finds her and is relieved. He takes Josie to her father Farron and tells them that someone he knows very well did this to the girl and her sister. When he shows them Ulia, he also finds a mark, but it's on his neck. Farron becomes enraged, saying, "How dare those monkeys do this to both my children? I must take the severest revenge." On another front, we see the exploration team surveying the area and finally finding the macaques gathered together. There are more of them, perhaps planning another attack. The exploration team returns to the village to inform the army commander of what they saw. Meanwhile, Kai is still with Elisa and tells her, "Thank God you and your grandmother are safe. But I can't believe the damage extended this deep into the village." He thanks her again, as the rice balls she made allowed him to do many things. At that moment, Mansu arrives with a message informing them that the Baron wants to see him immediately. Baron Shirin talks to him about the orcs. As for his children, it might be the result of a curse placed upon them. They also did many things and defeated the strongest fighters to be able to attack the village. Not only that, but according to the scouts, the next attack should be imminent. But Kai, we want you to use your power, which might be able to affect the curse on Ulia and his sister Josie, and remove it. Baron tells him he will go to the abandoned villages, where he tends to each grave monthly, because Aloha's ruler is in El village and Josie's ruler is in Ida village. Log Villa's survival depends on this mission. They are now in a race against time and rely on him heavily. Next, we see Kai and the priest together. The priest tells Kai that he will meet him at the North Gate when he's ready. Kai leaves him to talk with Elisa, telling her how delicious the rice balls were. He then informs her that he's going out to complete his tasks, but reassures her that this time he will definitely return. Once he finishes, he'll take her to a special place where they can eat rice balls together. Afterward, Kai meets the priest and notices something in his hand. He asks what it is, and the priest replies it's something from Farron, and they'll need it to break the curse. He then asks Kai if he's talking to anyone now, but Kai doesn't answer. The priest tells him that inside these gates lies a worldly life he left behind. He was the second son of a poor noble and studied hard to succeed his family's ruler, but he wasn't chosen as the will bearer. Since he no longer belonged to the household, he went to the monastery. Following that, he began training daily. His life was filled with love, joy, and sometimes sorrow, and this is what they must protect. The priest then takes him to Ilk village. Kai asks, "How many macaque guards are there?" The priest uses his power to take a look and discern how many guards are in the village. Kai is amazed when he sees the aura surrounding the priest. The priest tells him this ability is called 100 Eyes, a secret technique he learned in the monastery, allowing him to see anything, no matter how far away. He then informs Kai that there are 5 guards in the village. They decide to go there and easily kill these guards. At that moment, Kai's power appears on his face, and the priest rejoices, glad to have witnessed it firsthand. He reintroduces himself as Nada, the seeker of truth, sent by Maz to search for the truth of the rulers. He asks Kai to forgive him, as he's asking him to use his fierce power in the United Human Kingdom. Kai tells him to stop talking because they need to lift Ulia Elma's curse. The priest explains that the human kingdom needs a new and strong ruler. He asks Kai if he knows why they need a strong ruler. Kai replies, because they want the kingdom to be stronger. The priest tells him that their united kingdom is deteriorating every year. Gundal-sama is a prime example of this. The will-bearers in the Central Plains who support the king have become immersed in luxury and forgotten their studies. As a result, the power of the rulers who support the king has deteriorated. If the kingdom had its previous strength, an army could have been sent immediately to regain control of the village instead of abandoning it. In this village, the tragedies will only continue to worsen, and their decaying shrines can no longer support the king. We must embrace new allies, even if it means shattering the current hierarchy within the kingdom, says the priest to himself, as he places blood on the wall. The owner of this village serves the owner of Lag Village. It is the blood of her will-bearer. The rituals of dispelling are complete. A great change is coming to our world. The macaques attempt to control Log Village by cursing the gravestones and paralyzing the willbearers shows their desperation. They aim to weaken and impoverish the people of the land. According to my research, the priest continues, the macaque nation currently faces a grave danger, one that prevents them from continuing to live here. I believe the macaques are invading in search of a new home. The same applies to the orcs we were chasing. I heard they were threatened by strange creatures from the north. They needed the strength of new people to stop them. At this rate, with such a major change approaching, the human kingdom could be destroyed. Kai interjects, is that why they sent Rigadoros, like a Dorican? The priest then asks Kai, can you grant the kingdom the power to save millions of souls? Kai hesitates, but this is too much, let me think about it. The priest replies, we will head to Aida village next. I await your answer while we dispel the curse there. The scene then shifts to Farron, who asks about Uya. He's informed that the marks are receding, but Uya remains unconscious, indicating the priest's success. Farron states, if Uya can fight, our forces will be significantly stronger. We return to Kai, who kills a monster to reach a map. The priest places blood on it. Kai expresses, this power is so amazing that I didn't know how to use it, but if this is to save the human kingdom, then there will be no other villages like this. Perhaps this is a new way to use it? The priest asks if Kai has gathered his thoughts. If you join your strength, the kingdom will gain the favor of this power. It will enhance your strength even more. You can easily save the people of Log Village and the people important to you. Kai contemplates, what if there are people I need to protect who are not from Lag Village? Is it my responsibility to protect them too? The priest then asks, do you mean the Kuru? They dedicated themselves to you in that battle, but I ask you to abandon them. Kai is astonished and shouts at the priest, why should I do that now? The priest responds, the kingdom's shrines cannot accept the followers of lowly demi-humans. Humans are born human, and the heavens test them. The idea of associating with other species is out of the question. I ask you to dedicate your full power solely to the United Kingdom. Kai firmly replies, if that's the case, I cannot do it. Willbearers have the responsibility to protect the land and the people who live there. I cannot serve the kingdom if it means abandoning the people who adopted me, and I categorically refuse your request. The priest says, you are very stubborn. It seems I cannot change your mind. I will give up now. I will find a way to explain the matter to Maius. The scene then shifts to the monsters Kai killed, with other monsters around them, enraged by their deaths. We return to the priest, talking with Kai about what's happening in Log Village. Kai replies, I hope they haven't been attacked yet. I'm worried about Josie, Alisa, and the others. Let's go back quickly. Suddenly, the priest strikes Kai in the back, and as he does, something strange happens in the air. This is how today's episode of this anime ends. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all that's new.